Hey, beautiful people. Welcome to this week's episode of World Domination. Monica Ferguson here. And this week we're going to be talking about something that I wish that I had grasped a really solid understanding of a lot earlier. Okay, so you would have seen this episode is called Let Go, Let God. And what we're really speaking about here is faith and our ability to trust and to surrender. Because let's be real, most of our life is this, right? We're waiting for things to happen. We're in between. We've set the goals, we've got clear, we've got specific, we're taking the inspired action. But there's a lot of the time when we don't actually see things moving. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes, and we have to trust the process. So how do we trust the process when we don't have anyone to trust or surrender to? And I mean, this is really down to each of us individually to approach our own spiritual beliefs, right? So I like the word God, so I'm going to use the word God, but I invite you to just really look at this through your own understanding, right? But the key here is that we each create and start to cultivate a relationship with God. Because the thing is that I think sometimes we can get really caught up in our human ways, right? And we think that this is it, that we're just a random human being on this planet and that's it. And that is so far from the truth. To start with, the chances of us being born are 1 in 400 trillion. That all of the perfect things lined up perfectly, right? For you to be here as you, with your particular set of skills, your DNA, where you were born in the world. These things are not an accident. And I don't know if you guys have been noticing lately, but the world is on fire right now, literally in some places. And what we're seeing unfold right now is a huge awakening on the planet, right? We're seeing the darkest shadow aspects coming to the light to be healed. And this is what we're all doing individually, but as a collective as well, right? Which is why so often it feels like things are getting worse before they get better. But really what's happening is that we're actually just seeing what was always there, but was kind of hidden, right? So let's bring this back to a more personal situation. Okay, so what does this mean for you, right? You as the trailblazer, the person who has decided, you know what, I know that I'm here for more. And I am going to tune in and listen to that call on my heart, the desires that I have, understanding that desire literally translates to of the Father. So your desires are God-given, right? So that is how you know what's meant for you, because you desire it. These are not accidents, right? But what God needs is for each of us to step up and actually go after and start becoming the versions of us that have those things. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but certainly the circles that I hang out with, I'm surrounded by people who are beautiful people. And the desires that they have are not destructive. They're not harmful. They want to help people. They want to make a difference. They want to improve their community. They have ideas and books and schools and things that could be created through them. And in fact, should be created through them, because that desire has been put on you for a reason, of every single person on the planet who could bring that desire, that school, that dream, that idea, who could birth it on this planet, it chose you. Now, that's a real responsibility. And you can ignore the call if you want. You can. But it's never going to go away because it's for you, right? You're always going to feel in the back of your mind I know that I'm staying in this job because it's safe, because it pays the bills, but I really wish that I was doing this. And the time is going to pass anyway, right? I know that in our mind, we often use these sorts of things as excuses, I'm too old to do this, or what about money? What about this? Well, yeah, you can do that if you want, but how are you going to feel at the end of your life? Looking back, knowing that all you wanted to do was be a musician. All you wanted to do was write books or create art or have a bunch of kids and be a mum, and you didn't do the things that were put on your heart, or like you didn't become the version of you and the best version of you to do these things well, right? These things are not by accident. They are put there for a reason. And something that I find in the coaching world is that a lot of people skip the meat between the sandwich, as it were, right? Like the meat in the sandwich. So what you see a lot online is like what I call toxic positivity, and I've talked about this a lot. You get the real amped up, the high energy, live your dreams and love and light and all that stuff. But it's an absolute lie, and it makes me so angry because I had a lot of this as well, where I was pushed by coaches to go big, to aim high, to set massive visions, which is great. But I was then not given the tools and the support to navigate what came next. And that is so dangerous. That is unbelievably dangerous, because I don't muck around when it comes to goals, right? Like I have big goals, big dreams, as we all should. But we need the foundation and the tools behind it to support the shift, okay? Because if we go back to the beginning, let's say, let's pretend you're my client for a sec. The very, very first thing that we do in our coaching session is get clear on what you actually want. And this is a model that I have borrowed from one of my mentors, Stuart Walter. So like world-class coach, works with elite athletes and stuff like that. He has created multiple world champs, all right, with this model. So it's good enough for us. So what we do is we look at 4 categories in our life: happiness, health, love, and wealth, in that order. And the very first thing we would do is get really specific and clear on what does that look like for you. What does happiness look like for you? Is it trips overseas? Are there certain countries you want to go to? Is it, making music? Is it writing books? Is it taking art classes? Is it buying elephants, raising poodles, whatever? Doesn't matter what it is. The key is that you yourself are clear on it, right? So what makes you happy? Getting clear on that. Is it a car that you want? Like, don't be afraid to ask for material things. But one of the really potent things that happens when we do this is that all the negative limiting beliefs come up, right? It's a really incredible way to find out where you've been holding back. Because so often people will go, and they'll aim low, they'll be small, they'll ask for things that they think are realistic, things that they can see, I could make that happen. But this is where faith comes in, right? If you know how to do it, you don't need God. There's no growth there. You're still in your comfort zone. So you're still the same version of you, which means you're going to get the same results. So in order for us to actually get like much more in every sense, more love, more health, more happiness, more joy, more impact, more money, more wealth, more satisfaction, we have to become a different version of ourselves. Like we are literally creating a new version of us. So that version of us does things differently, thinks differently, moves differently, speaks differently, stands differently, all these sorts of things, right? So as we're going through this goal setting process, all of this is going to be revealed. And this is the benefit of having me with you, is that I can help you to challenge them basically. And I'll hold you in that space of questioning why. Is that actually what you want? Or is that what you think is realistic? And this is where the old stories start to come out, right? So if we think happiness, health, love, wealth. Love and wealth are where a lot of limiting beliefs come out, because like old stories that we've taken on. So if you think about wealth, a lot of us have beliefs around money that are not serving us. Like we think that only greedy people have money, that money is really hard to get, that money is the root of all evil. Now think about this. If you believe that money, if it's at an unconscious, at a subconscious level, you were taught as a kid that money is the root of all evil. Now let's say here you are and you're wanting to start a business and you're setting wealth goals. And let's say your first goal is $20,000 months, okay? But at an unconscious level, you believe that having money makes you a bad person and that your family won't like you anymore. You are naturally going to sabotage every attempt to make money so that you can be a good person in your mind, right? So this is the really important thing when we're setting goals, is that we're starting to look at the subconscious role of this, and this is why it's so useful to have a coach, right? But let's just overview, right? So let's say we've gone through, you've set your goals, your happiness goals, you're really clear on what happiness is, health, love, wealth. You've put a date on it, a time frame. You're specific, you're clear. Then what? Okay, so what's going to happen is there's going to be some movement in your life. And here's what most people won't tell you because it doesn't sound very nice. That movement is probably not going to be very enjoyable. Because the thing is, at the moment that you decide, right now, decide means to cut off. So the moment you say, I am a business owner, I am a musician, I am a best-selling author, I am whatever it is, this is me, your life is going to start to reflect that. So if you say, let's talk about relationships for a sec, right? Because this is something that I've just worked through very recently. I got really specific and clear on what I wanted, okay? So what happens then is everything that's not in alignment with that version of me comes up. And it looks like shit is falling apart. It looks like your life is crumbling. It's not. It is a set up. Now this is where faith comes in. Because when you can go to God and you can say, whoa, this looks terrifying right now, but I know that I am so loved, I am so chosen, I am so called. Like, thank you, God, that you have me in the palm of your hand. Thank you that I can surrender and I can trust the process. And if this is happening, I know that it's happening for me, right? And so then we're not getting consumed with fear because we're not trying to do everything in our own power. And this is where most people back down, right? They'll step slightly out of their comfort zone and then poof, they'll be hit with something that's uncomfortable or hard or unknown. They can't control it. They don't know what's going to happen. They go, oh, this is not safe. Go back. Retreat back to safety. Now, this is one of the biggest problems, is that people will never ever move beyond their comfort zone when that's the case. They are willing to sacrifice happiness, purpose, satisfaction for a few moments of comfort and a wasted life. And that might sound savage, but it's true. Like, it was my little brother's anniversary, birthday a few days ago, and he would have been 26. And some of you know my story about Fergus, so his name is Fergus, right? So after he passed, I literally changed my last name to Ferguson because I wanted his name in my name, because everything that I'm creating is his legacy. And that is one of the core reasons why I do what I do. I want to teach people how to live, how to thrive, because my little brother didn't get the chance. He was 9 and he just dropped dead one day and we had no warning. And it's a massive wake-up call for how do we choose to live? Are we actually going to be happy looking back at our life, knowing that we had all these desires on our heart, all these things that we wanted to do, but we let fear stop us? We chose comfort over growth. We chose comfort over happiness. We chose a few moments of hard stuff. And it is a few moments in the grand scheme of things, we let that stop us. And the thing is that there are tools, there are ways of navigating this stuff. And this is what I want to share with you guys today, because this is a big topic, right? And this is why you hire a coach, because as these things come up, you have someone to walk with you to navigate. So, because your mind, so actually let's go back. So we set the goals, right? And then boom, something happens. Like you get fired, or a relationship ends, or your car breaks down. or you get some massive bill that you're not prepared for. Now, what's the first thing that your mind does? Panic. Fear. Fight or flight. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. How am I going to deal with this? How am I going to navigate this? Your body freaks out. Your nervous system freaks out. Now, how many of us have actually been taught what to do with that? Not many. New Zealand, we do not talk about this stuff. We use very very unhealthy ways of dealing with this. A lot of people turn to alcohol. This is my observation anyway. And also medication. I see all the time, people will have a very human experience, like grief even. I remember talking to someone about their experience of grief. They just lost someone really significant. And she was like, oh, well, I'm depressed. I was like, are you depressed? Or are you experiencing grief? And that matters, right? The grace that we give ourselves and the label that we put on it matters, because our subconscious mind, which is 95% of our mind and is in charge, is going to create more of what we identify as. So when you say, I am depressed, you're only going to experience that. Your mind is literally wired to make you right. It's subjective, right? It's absolutely neutral. So you get to decide. But if you say, hey, I'm grieving, that's very different than I am depressed, full stop. Because what happens when you declare that? Well, I'm depressed. Okay, so your mind is going to find more evidence of depression for you. You're going to start acting like a depressed person, talking like one, standing like one. And you're not going to be able to see any of the good things that exist as well, because you're focused on depressed. And so it's really hard to get yourself out when your life looks black. And I say this as someone who nearly unalived herself multiple times. Okay, so I don't want you guys to think that I'm skimming over that, but I know what worked. And it was an internal shift. It was healing a lot of trauma, right? And these things don't have to be long and drawn out. When we're going to the subconscious mind and addressing the part of us that doesn't feel safe, that's very quick. That's not years in therapy. Okay, so anyway, this is a huge topic, guys. Can you tell? So let's say we're in that state, right? We've set the goals, the happiness, the health, the love, the wealth. And we've got really clear love. Okay, we really want a partner like this. We really want a relationship like this. Let's say you're in a relationship right now and you're not happy and it's not making you a better version of yourself. You're not getting your needs met. You're not growing at all. You're stagnant. You're afraid. You're scared to move on, but you know it's the right thing. Okay. So the moment that you decide, actually, I want a relationship like this, boom, something happens. And let's say the relationship ends. And you're like, oh my gosh, panic, panic, panic. Okay. So firstly, we need techniques to actually navigate the discomfort in our body and calm our nervous system. That is the number one thing. It is a nervous system situation. It is not the circumstance that's causing the pain. I say that again, because this was a big one for me to get my head around. It's always our thoughts about the thing that cause the pain, not the thing itself. And if we look at that, right? If we really look at that, and I spoke into this a bit in a previous episode around triggers, about how we assign meaning to everything. So, okay, let's say you're in a relationship and it breaks up. You could look at that and go, it's because I'm not good enough. It's because everyone leaves me. It's because everyone hurts me. It's not safe to pull my walls down. That's showing you your model, your set of beliefs. And as long as you have those beliefs, you're going to continue to recreate that situation. And even, you can leave that relationship. You'll do that again. You'll attract someone else that reinforces those beliefs. So it's actually a real gift, right? When things happen, big things happen in our life, it forces us to go within and become aware of what we actually believe. And because remember, our subconscious mind is in charge, and it's 95% of our mind, and it wants us comfortable. It doesn't want us happy. It doesn't care about our happiness. It cares about our safety. And it feels safe in the familiar, which means if you've always had shitty, toxic relationships that make you feel like crap, you're actually going to you're going to be more attracted to people that reinforce those feelings than a healthy person until you heal that part of you. So it's all coming from within us, right? It's all happening within us and we're projecting it out. The moment that we shift our belief system, our stories, we heal the parts of us that are wounded and sad and in deep need of love and compassion, guess what? We literally start to attract a different thing. But it's all happening within us, okay? So let's say that you're in that state now, right? Like you've been so amazing and bold and brave and you've set some big goals and it looks like your life is crumbling right now. You got fired, you're freaking out about money, you don't know how things are going to come together, okay? So first thing I want to say is do some subconscious work. If you can, hire me. Because when we can calm that part of you at the subconscious level that doesn't feel safe, you will have instant relief. I'm not joking. Instant. Because I know that you think that it's the situation that needs to change in order for you to feel better. It doesn't. Your thought about the situation is what's causing the pain. Okay. So someone needs to hear that because I keep repeating it. But this was something that I learned and it astounded me. The power that I had to control how I feel based on the stories that I was telling myself. So I could be going through like a horrible breakup or something and be like, you know, depressed and sad and like, oh my God, I'm going to die alone and all this kind of stuff. And then I would simply shift my perspective. I would change the story. I would look at it and be like, actually, you know what? There were heaps of red flags. There was heaps of stuff in that situation that I don't actually want. It's not in alignment with who I'm actually calling in. So this leaving my life has actually brought me one step closer to my actual person. And it's also reflected back to me a bunch of my fears and beliefs, which means that I can now look at the parts of me that don't feel safe in relationships, that feel wounded, and heal them so that I can attract a higher level person. Okay? So hypnosis is incredible for this because it speaks directly to the subconscious mind and it makes it feel safe. Okay? But also, if you don't have access to that right now, have you guys heard of tapping? EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. Incredible. You can go on YouTube for free and find videos. There's a guy that I love on there. His name is Brad Yates. And what it does is you literally speak things out loud and you're tapping along on different meridian points on your body. And it is incredibly powerful. So you can literally type into YouTube. This is what I do all the time, right? I'll notice a fear come up and I'll be like, oh, it's fear of the unknown, right? Like I'm in that in-between state. I don't know how things are coming together. My body, my nervous system is feeling very uncomfortable. So I can either sit with this and try and think my way out of it, which is not smart because the conscious mind is only 5%, right? Or I could go and find some, like I do hypnosis for myself, but which will instantly shift that. Or I will go and I'll type into YouTube, tapping for fear of unknown, or fear of not being safe, or anxiety, or fear of getting into a relationship, or money fears, or whatever is coming up. And I'll literally do like an 8 or 10 minute video just tapping, and the shifts that you can physically feel your body relax. And all of a sudden, even though your circumstances haven't changed, the way that you feel about it is different. And when your nervous system is calm, you are magnetic. And that's when you're in a position to actually receive the next level thing. Okay, so that's on the actual nervous system front. Hypnosis and EFT are incredible. Incredible, okay? But on the faith front, what do we do when we don't know, right? And we have to surrender. We don't know what's going to come next. We don't know the path. We don't know the way. We don't know how it's going to work out. But we have to believe that it is. And for me, I think that what we do most of the time, like, because repetition is key, right? When it comes to the subconscious mind and like reprogramming it, because it is like a software program. So we need to update our software. Okay, so when we want to reprogram our mind so that it's on autopilot for success, for faith, for believing in ourselves, for expecting miracles, it's the things that we do consistently that matter. So for me, like meditation, prayer, these things are a key component, like building my faith, building a relationship with God. Because if you don't know God, and however you want to put that is up to you, okay? But if you don't have a relationship with God, creator, universe, whatever you want to call it, how do you surrender to it? But when you've actually sat in a state of stillness and peacefulness and you've connected and you start to feel that magnificent love, how unconditionally loved you are, how chosen you are, how the chances of you being here are 1 in 400 trillion. You were created as you were called as you were put here on this planet at this time with a unique set of gifts and talents and abilities that are so needed on this planet. They were given to you, they were gifted to you. And when you can start to tap into that love, you start to feel not alone. And you realize that you were never ever walking alone. Which means that even when things seem out of control and you're in the unknown state and you need to just trust that even though you can't see a way right now, just like that, everything can change. Just like that, an email, a call, a person, anything can happen. Because let's think about this. When something amazing happened to you, did you know that it was going to happen before it happened? You just met someone that changed your life, and there wasn't an orchestra and trumpets that played right before you met them. It just seemed like an ordinary day, and then something happened that changed everything. One day you picked up your phone and you had an email, and it was an opportunity that changed your life. You met someone and they said something and it triggered a thought, and then you read a book that transformed everything, right? But you didn't know that it was going to be incredible. You didn't know that day was going to be a day that would change everything. And I want us all to live in this energy of expectancy, because just like that, anything can happen. And our job, mind, body, spirit is something that I speak about a lot. And our job is to align our mindset and our belief system with that faith version of us. So, if you think about your dreams, the things that have been put on your heart, the things that you are called to do, and you know what they are, whether you're willing to admit them or not, you know what you're here for. So that's who you really are. Okay. So let's say that is you're building a school to teach people woodwork. I don't know. It's the first thing that came to my head. So that's who you are. Okay. So your courage comes in by you actually having the boldness to set the goals and be like, you know what? Yes, I am the owner of a school that empowers thousands of kids to learn how to do this. So that's your first step, right? Is being bold enough to believe that, to hold that vision and hold it consistently. You connect with it on a daily basis. And then you start taking inspired action towards that goal. But then the final piece is the spirit part, the faith part, where even when you get hit with massive waves and things happen that seem so scary, you can come back to the truth of what you know. That is, you are loved, you are chosen, you are called, you are so special. You can work with your nervous system and your subconscious mind to calm the fear and learn to be brave and learn to trust and surrender. And this is a muscle. But I would say to everyone, build that muscle now. Because when you're scared and uncertain, that's not the time. But, once you've done that and you've got that relationship, you can draw on it in those hard moments so that you can surrender and trust. And it is a choice. And sometimes you have to choose it 20 times in a day. And when you're in that real stretch zone, that growth zone, which is where all the magic is happening, by the way, it can feel really uncomfortable. Come back to this episode, because I guarantee you there are so many of us that are sitting in these states, but you know what we're not doing? Posting about it on social media, because we're sitting with ourselves. We're in meditation. We're doing the hypnosis. We're doing the internal work. We're rewriting the belief systems. We're healing the trauma. Like, we're doing all the work that supports that next level version of us. And you can absolutely do it too. So send me a message if this resonated. Reach out. Let me know if I can support you. I have one-on-one coaching. I have self-study coaching available too. So, and so many podcasts to help with this. There's so many resources to help you guys. So you do not have to go through this by yourself. I'm so freaking proud of you for showing up for yourselves and for everyone today. Big hugs. I will see you next week.